Okay, and we're back, Low Back Ability Podcast. Today we are going to cover a topic that somebody gave me through the Instagram channel. That's where I'm pulling these from. It's a broadcast channel on Instagram. If you want to submit a question for me to answer, that would be the place to do it. And the question said, I get 90% better. I do one wrong activity and it brings me back to square one. What do I do? So I thought this was interesting because I know firsthand what this mindset's like. And now in hindsight, I could tell you confidently, it's a bit of a fallacy. And this is reassuring. And so let's get into it. It's going to be a short episode. It's early in the morning, sun's not up. Couldn't really sleep. And these podcasts are a fun thing for me to do. So I was like, okay, I want to do them. Busy day today. Let's do it super early. So let's cover this. If you're getting 90% better, and then one small thing, you reach for something, tweak your back, and this flare-up sends you all the way back to square one, it feels like. This may start to feel like you have such a volatile back that one day it's good, one day it's not, one day it's good, one day it's not. If that's you, I'm here to tell you, it's actually always not good. Your low back foundation, what really matters, the ability of that entire structure, is very poor. Just because when you truly have health, and trust and function in any structure of the body, it will operate pretty well even when stressed. That's why when you go to check up on your heart, they do a stress test. They don't just check your heart when you're sitting there calm, because a lot of people with underlying issues could show nothing. They want to see with stress, does anything start to break down? You wouldn't say, I have a good heart until I go and run, and then I have a bad heart. It's like, obviously that's a stretch. Out of scope, don't sue me. But the concept of the back feeling good from a lot of rest, maybe being more careful with it, just doing the lifting and life things that didn't test it. That's okay, and that's not a bad thing. You don't need to do a Jefferson curl every time to pick up everything in life. But the good and bad news is that this feeling of 90% and back to square one and you're just getting really discouraged and that crazy up down, it's not true. So this is the reality. It takes a very long time to build true low back ability that will protect you. And the good news is it takes a very long time to lose low back ability that will protect you. Because it's not just you unlocked a bracing position or you unlocked a certain pressure protection. Now your spine is no longer vulnerable. That is some preliminary, like basic PT stuff we've all done. The blank, small to moderate, big three, whatever you want to call it. That stuff has value in the beginning stages, but you can't be married to some of those modalities that are meant for day 1 through 30. After which, we need to build the foundation of your low back, which means once the structure has built up, once you have built from, say, just a lockout back extension, 2 minutes, hold. You've worked up through that months at a time. You put a lot of daily deposits, investments towards that. Not only did you get neurological trust, your spine and the muscles around it feel safe to fire and contract, you probably actually made some changes to the tissue there, and you could measure it. I mean, I'm not cutting you open to measure it, but in science they could measure it. And so even after a few months, you start to change the back and how it's able to move and how it's able to get tension and motion. And then maybe you do elephant walks and test out in different positions of flexion where you're more likely to hurt yourself, odds are. Once you have measurable improvement in these things over a time frame, not just next week, next month, it's the time in between that allows the change to happen, then you know you have an increased foundation. You are at 80%. You are at 90%. Because if your back is at 90%, that means you can be sick, a little hungover, sleep deprived, and you will still be able to do the things with your back without throwing it out. That's just the truth. Should you? To each their own. This is your life. I wouldn't. But that's a different viewpoint from how we treat the back of how does it feel. And how it feels is everything. When you squat like this, do you feel it? Yes? Okay, try to turn your head 1 inch. Okay, do you feel it? No. Perfect. Squat like that. Like that's not a reflection of your back at all. We're trying to biohack little 1% changes to get you through today. The point is to get you back like a kid who doesn't even think about their back, even if you're 40. Be a 45-year-old kid that can roll around and not even think that their back exists. That's actual foundation. That's 90%. So if you're going 90% square one, we're missing something. And we have to put steady investments towards structural changes and firing patterns of the back and the muscles, and not only the ligaments and tendons, the bones will be supported better over months and years. So I just want to say this for the person that wrote in on that concept, and a lot of people feel it too. Your back journey is not as volatile as it feels. This up, down process you're going through is perception, it's experience. It's real. You can have actual pain. You can really trigger and flare something up. But we have to measure the score that counts, which is ability. What am I able to do over time consistently with less pain? That's going to take months to maybe years to fully gain the compound on and really work up to. And it's going to take months and years to lose it if you just stop doing anything. So everything is about finding the right redirect. If you're stuck, up, down, get training the basics of the spine, get the lockout extension, get a back extension, find a gym with one. Start rounding the spine gradually for the further levels of the back extension. Open up the hips measurably. We got other stuff for stretches and mobility, but your metric of how your back is doing has to be greater than symptoms. Because when your back foundation's low, you sneeze too hard, now you have back pain. The weather's bad, you're a little stressed out, now you have back pain. It gets very confusing when you're just going by the direction of wind as to what's causing it. It's just not. Pain misleads us. It's crazy. So I'm gonna wrap it up here. I promise to keep these super short so I can go more frequently with them. But yeah, if you're going 90% square one, 90%, you're actually always at 25%. And that's a good thing, because that means tomorrow you get to show up again, do what you can, steady deposit, ground up stuff, shoulder, upper back, direct low back, everything counts. So don't lose hope, keep showing up, do the work as if the reward is never coming. Don't even care if it gets better, because it's gonna take some time, so you might as well stop checking. It's like the seed below the dirt. It's growing. Every time you're like poking in the dirt trying to see if the seedling's there, you're actually fucking with it. You're messing it up. So you might as well just do the work week by week, track your progress on the exercises. Yeah, this was a good topic. I'm sure it's gonna help somebody out of a little bit of a funk. Hopefully it inspires you, not, depresses you that it's gonna take time. So yeah, that's the episode. If you have any other questions, just drop it in the broadcast channel on Instagram. If you scroll up to the first, I had a submission for Q&A there. So I appreciate y'all. I'm gonna let y'all go.